is enough said.
Happy Wednesday, Heat Nation. Hump Day. Yo, boy Ernest here. Back with another Miami Heat Talk video. Hope you guys are having a great day. Staying positive, living with God in your hearts. Now, please join me and let's make this day better by going on another Miami Heat Talk adventure. Just a reminder, guys, don't forget to support the channel. If you're watching, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that hype button if you're watching on your cell phones. Really helps me out. In today's episode, you guys, oh man, this should be a doozy. I want to talk about something that's been projected in social media. This was reported by Sports Illustrated, Fade World. A bunch of different articles have come out about it, about the Miami Heat potentially trading for both Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard. And I mentioned something like this a few months ago. I mean, it's definitely possible. And we wouldn't really be talking about two separate trades. This would be a 3-team trade involving the Miami Heat, the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, one thing that I'm sure that all of us can agree on, the Bucks and the Clippers are looking to rebuild. The Bucks situation, you guys, it's really tough. You waived and stretched Damian Leonard, so you still have to pay him for the next 4 seasons. That comes out of your salary. You traded Portland multiple picks, including pick swaps. So Portland has control of Milwaukee's picks for the next few years. Then they also have Miles Turner's contract. So Milwaukee's in a rebuilding phase, which will take them a few years to get over. But it's worth it because they won a championship in 2021. So it's not like all of it was a waste. But they're rebuilding. The Clippers, they traded Harden to the Cavaliers by getting Darius Garland. They got knocked out of the play-in, so they're looking to rebuild as well. So it does make sense for the Clippers and the Bucks to make this particular trade. And there was a trade proposal on Sports Illustrated that financially it works. So I want to talk about it. I'm going to give you guys my opinion on it, and then I want your opinion on the comments. Because this one's a doozy. The Miami Heat would receive Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard. Milwaukee Bucks would get Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez Jr., Kel'el Ware, Kasparas Giannis, the 2020 and 2022 first-round draft picks. The LA Clippers would receive Andrew Wiggins. He would have to opt in his contract to do that. Davion Mitchell, Trent Jr., the 13th pick, the Miami Heat's 13th pick, and 3 future pick swaps. It doesn't specify if it's like first, second round picks. With that, the Heat would get in this deal straightforward. They build a team around Leonard, Giannis, and Bam Adebayo, the new big 3. They'll look to chase the championship over the next few years around this trio and a bunch of veteran minimums and rookie scales contracts. For the purpose of the Clippers, the deal is obviously most important. The Clippers get back the 13th pick. That's big. They also have the 5th pick. So this is them rebuilding. They can also get 3 swaps from the Heat in 2029, 2031, 2033. Okay. That would make the Miami Heat instant contenders. Now, few things about that. One, you're giving up both Davion Mitchell and Kasparas Giannis. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't think Kasparas needs to be involved in the deal. We've heard multiple times that the offer is most likely going to be Kel'el Ware, Tyler Herro, Jaime Jaquez, and Nikola Jovic. So that's the swap that I'm going to make on this trade. Instead of Kasparas Giannis, it would be Nikola Jovic because he's the one that's been rumored. And that's the one I'm sure Miami would want to do in a trade like this. So let's say you keep Kasparas, because if you're letting go of Davion Mitchell and Kasparas, you really don't have a starting point guard. I mean, you have Drew Smith, but I would like to retain Kasparas. So let's say you're able to do that in this scenario. You would have a starting lineup of Bam Adebayo, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard. You would bring back Norman Powell. You would have Kasparas Giannis. You would also be able to retain Pelle Larsson as your new 6th man. After that, you have Drew Smith, you have Myron Gardner, You can bring back Simone Fontecchio. You still would technically have the $15 million mid-level exception. Yes, Bam, Giannis, and Kawhi all making big money, but after that, there's nobody else on the roster that's making a large-scale contract. So what the Heat could do, they would be able to implement their $15 million mid-level exception. They would be able to use their $5 million biannual exception still. They also have that $16.8 million trade exception from Duncan Robinson, and they would also have that $5.6 million trade exception with the Haywood-Highsmith trade. I'm saying that because there are multiple ways that the Miami Heat can bolster up this roster. You can use one player, one really good player with that $15 million mid-level exception, and you would have Pelle Larsson. These would be your two main players off the bench, with Drew Smith, Myron Gardner, and Simone Fontecchio as possible minimum contract options. They would implement right as well. You use your $16.8 million trade exception for one of those players I mentioned. If you're not able to get a Case and Wallace, you can use it on a bunch of players like I mentioned in the video yesterday, whether it's Dorian Finney-Smith, Steven Adams, AJ Green from the Milwaukee Bucks. You'll have a lot of options with that trade exception. But if you make a trade like this, yes, you would be contenders for next season. And then if you do a trade like this, you would most likely want to sign Kawhi Leonard to maybe a 2-year extension. So you can have this core for about 2 to 3 years. Here's the only thing with that. You're giving up your entire roster basically, and you're giving up your entire future for a team that's going to be together for the next 2 to 3 years. So that's going to be what? 2029? So that means you're still going to have to load off draft picks and pick swaps for 2030, 2031, 2032, 2033. You are mortgaging your future to try to win now. And even though I respect it and I think that's a great idea to do, and the fact that the Heat have done it before by putting a big three together, this would be the incorrect big three in my opinion. Kawhi Leonard, Bam Adebayo, and Giannis Antetokounmpo with Norman Powell, that's an incredible lineup. And Kasparas Giannis would flourish and develop next to these guys. But given the injury history and the track record, I would prefer trading for one of these guys. And I've mentioned this many times before. You're going to do the mother load with a Giannis trade. Even though that's a little bit questionable, it's still Giannis. Let's be honest, you guys. This dude is a top 5 player, MVP player, and he hasn't played in the last 7 months. So he's fresh. You're going to get a guy that can average 30 points, 12 rebounds, 60% from the field, one of the best players in the NBA. So you have to give up Tyler Herro, Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez, and Nikola Jovic with the 13th pick and maybe more picks on top of that. Maybe you can get away with just one. But that's the mother load offer. Or you pivot to a Kawhi Leonard trade where you don't have to give up so much, where you can do a Tyler Herro, Andrew Wiggins, and no picks. I would prefer either or trade. Now, if you get both of these guys, yes, for the 2027 NBA season, favorites. For the 2028 season, potentially favorites as well. But it's like a 2 to 3 year gap because Giannis is 32. So now you're doing a full commitment. But even though I'm not the hugest fan of this trade, you look at a guy like Pat Riley, who's 81 years old and trying to win now. He could look at the situation and think, I don't care. I don't care about 2033. I'm trying to win now. And besides, we knocked draft picks and second round picks, undrafted players. We knocked that out the park. I don't care about these first round picks. We don't tank. Let's go ahead, let's trade for these guys, and let's try to contend. So on paper, I think it'd be great, but I think it's a huge risk. So it's not a trade I would do. I would prefer trading for one of these guys. But let me know your thoughts, you guys. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard. Who would you prefer? If you have a chance to get both, would you do it? Or would you prefer trading either one of these guys? Come on. I mean, getting them both would be huge, you guys. Kawhi Leonard averaged 28 points last season. He had one of the best seasons of his career. Giannis Antetokounmpo, we know what he can do. Bam Adebayo is a perfect number 3 option. It would work, you guys, simply because of Bam. Bam would allow Giannis and Kawhi to be the players they need to be, and Bam would do all the nitty-gritty, dirty work. And then you have Norman Powell and Kasparas Giannis as your shooters. Both of those guys averaged over 40%. And then what you do is you round out this team with shooters as well. You can use part of your mid-level exception to get 2 players. Sign one for $8 million, sign one for $7 million. You can get a stretch 5 like a Sandro Mamu from the Toronto Raptors. And then you can get another player like a Kelly Oubre or something like that. You know, you can finagle the salary. Then you can use your 5.6 biannual $1 million exception for a player that, you know, that's a space like shooter, like a Kevin Herter or something like that. Guys, Miami doesn't have state taxes. So for other places, other states where players can get like a $7-8 million contract, with Miami, the biannual exception comes pretty close. And would players be willing to take a little bit less money to come to Miami to play with Giannis, Kawhi, and Bam and win a championship and do the Bruce Brown effect? Remember, guys, Bruce Brown helped Denver win a game against the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals, and that got him a 2-year, $42 million contract. Some players can look at the Heat and think, if I take a little bit less money, go there for a year, win a championship, show my value, I'll get a fat contract in free agency. It's definitely possible, you guys. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you prefer trading for both players or just one of them? Don't forget to support the channel, guys. Smash that like button. Do not forget to subscribe. And until next time, your boy Ernest out, and that is enough said.